I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Stoneblock 4. Yes, welcome back to some more Stoneblock 4, and I tell you what, I'm pretty excited about the things that are going to start happening, because last episode, we got an AE2 chandelier in place. This thing is not only a centerpiece and a light source, but it is also what is going to channel all of our channels that we are going to use, all 128 per dense. This is absolutely wild that we have so many channels, because in this pack, AE2 channels are ×4 their normal value. And another wild thing we did last episode was we fought the mighty Ender Chicken. And it definitely caught me by surprise, and I may or may not have died. And that led us to a new world engine upgrade, allowing us to make these Enderium blocks, which we now have inside of our world engine. I tell you what, our world engine is really starting to come together here. But I think today, things are going to really start to change. See, this world engine, up to this point, we've been doing it all manually. But today, we should be able to easily set up automation for this machine. And we can use Applied Energistics to do this, especially since we have this really convenient quantum ring that just happens to be right here waiting to be activated. Now, instead of just directly upgrading and continuing on our progression and sort of forcing our way through these mods, I think it would be better now to start focusing more heavily on how we're going to make our life easier in the future. And that means prepping ourselves more with Autocrafting and Applied Energistics. And now this may actually sound scary, but it's really not. Last episode, I also applied all of these. So we have a 64K storage, which is just a single block. And then I put 8 co-processing units in here for now. And I have 8 separate CPUs. We just have to get these kind of connected in. And then right here, I have regular pattern providers. Now, these are technically meant for normal channels, but we can actually increase the height of these if we really wanted to, because each of the pattern providers cost 1 channel, which means there's only 8 channels being used here. Even if we doubled this, we still wouldn't even be capping what this currently can handle, just a regular cable, which can handle 32. So yeah, we could stack these up to 32. Not going to be necessary for right now. I'm going to leave them where they are, but we do got to get all of these hooked in. And this is what's going to store all of our patterns for right now in just the base form. Soon though, we'll be able to upgrade them even further if need be, but these are really good in their own right. If anything, the molecular assemblers are the thing we'd want to upgrade to advanced AE. Extended AE. I get those confused sometimes. Now, I am still working on producing some intro. I do have to do it by hand because I can't create the looping system because we are currently gated from the reaction chamber. Well, gated for right now. We'll actually have this open to us very soon, as soon as we have those advanced world machine blocks. And yes, this block is 100% necessary. Just look at all the crafts it allows us to do. We can do just dire thing crafts inside of this, but it also allows us to do the in-world crafts for Applied Energistics inside of this machine also. And it also has some nice like looping operations that we can do. For example, producing more intros. So you can see right here, we combine fluix with some intro dust and we can make this. And then we just crush the 32 back down and we just keep looping these over and over again to generate infinite intro, which intro is really powerful for what we're about to get into. And that is going to be wireless Applied Energistics. Yeah, you heard me right. See, with this intro crystal, we kind of want to break some of it down into dust for right now. And this dust is going to be really important. Now, I think it mentions it ever so slightly inside of the storage quest down here, but the big cool part, in my opinion, about getting into the extended AE is the wireless access points. And it's not 100% necessary because you could run cables all over your base, but I kind of like the idea of having it be a feature and then connect to it and have wireless access throughout a base like this. It has changed the way I do Applied Energistics. Now, one of the first things we do need to make from extended is the crystal assembler, which is going to be our first introduction to intro infused ingots. And that's why I was crushing down that intro dust. I'm just going to take that, toss it in the water, let it do its thing, just like all of our others. It's so satisfying watching this craft happen. So good. All right, so now that we have this, all of the other stuff should start to sort of fall into place. Now, Skystone, I did mention, I believe last episode, is something that we are going to need a little bit of. And you can actually get that from your teleporter. So if you go through there, wherever the teleporter platforms are at, they actually have Skystone in them. But I did set this up. And so we do have Skystone that has been being produced from the extractor, which we just got access to. And so I'm able to use skystone with lava and water next to it to generate this. Oh, and I also started setting up mud because I just love mud as a building material. I know it sounds weird, but mud is probably one of the most industrial metal looking materials. That's actually not a metal material. It's weird, I know, but the chip mod makes it look so good. Now with the crystal assembler, it's probably going to be best if we automate this almost immediately too. Something that I do want to do with this, I think we have our create wrench here, and I'm actually going to rotate this. So I'm going to use my hotkey that I have assigned, and I want this facing, let's see, not that direction, this direction. I want it laying on its side. Maybe I have to look at it from this side. We should be able to rotate it. There we go. I wanted it facing this way so I can see that little top side, but facing out. And then I'll just place this and simply carry one of our cables directly to it. We do have these smart cables now, so we can kind of see our channel usage, but I will tell you the channel usage, not that bad. Look at that. We're only in this system alone using 18 out of the total 32 channels, and that is without a controller, mind you. So perfect. We almost have everything ready to go. This is going to receive some power. It does say device online, you can see there, but I do want to set the output side, and we're just going to basically say, hey, auto output the finished products directly back into the pattern provider. And that is going to solve most of our problems. Something else though I want to do is make sure blocking mode is turned on, so it only sends one set of ingredients at a time, making sure it doesn't like flood this thing with random stuff, which can cause some problems from time to time. But there we go. That is basically it. We should get some upgrades in here to make it a little bit faster, but I mean, this is going to work. Now, all I have to worry about is making ourselves an ME wireless setup kit, which is all of these basic components just thrown in here. And I want to build an autocrafting pattern for these right here, which is the wireless connectors, which are what we're going to use to give ourselves wireless access to our channels. So I've got the pattern built up, but yes, we do have to make that wireless setup kit. And thankfully we only need one for this. So we'll always just use this tool and we'll just have it around. But now I can make the wireless connector. Looks like I am missing the machine frames. So let's make sure that we can craft those. Don't have it fully automated just yet, but just having the ability to go ahead and craft these, it's going to be so nice. So let's toss this in, and now we can craft one, but it is going to craft in sets of 2, which is beautiful. Perfect. And you can see how fast that actually was at crafting. And now that we have this, we can actually tap into our chandelier network. And I think the first thing I want to tap in is carry channels from here and swap my network entirely to this network. So that way this is all linked into one central unit. And how exactly am I going to do that? Well, all we got to do is kind of remove our power cell, our little power buffer that's back here. And instead, what I can do is I can just place the wireless connector here, and our power buffer is actually going to be contained within our controller that's up here. And I can even toss in one of these cells or a dense cell throughout the entire network, because these are all going to be linked. So I can click on this, and then we'll go and find an empty spot on one of these cables, especially on a spot that is extended off right here. So this would be a pretty good spot. And this is going to grant that little room right there 128 channels to play with as soon as I right click this again to link that up. And you can see this channel line is now using a total of 18 channels, just like I showed earlier, out of 128. It's so many. Now, bear in mind, we would have to use dense cables off of this to be able to get the full value. As you'll still see, we have 32 channels available through a normal cable line. But that 32 channels is total that we can take off of this, or 128 total that we can take off of this. Pretty darn powerful. And so now for the fun part. Now that that's hooked in, let's take a look at our power drain and energy usage. Ouch. Yes, a passive 1.4 thousand RF per tick drain that we are seeing right now. So yes, AE is kind of expensive on power. Remember that the controller alone is like 380 RF per tick just to run the controller. So yeah, some things to note. But oh, how this power usage is definitely going to help us. Because not only do we have access to automation now, we can access it anywhere. Meaning we can just set up automation for power and sending of items anywhere as well. Now, some things I do want to mention is that the wireless connectors, while really, really handy, are, yes, very, very power hungry. So this is creating almost a 500 RF per tick passive drain on these wireless connectors. So yes, early on, probably use them sparingly. I'm going to be using just a few of them early on, but we will expand a bit more on our power network very soon, and we won't have to worry about it as much. Now, something that I do want to do is get this hooked up. So I think what I'm going to do is up top here, I'm going to run a cable that runs off the side of the controller and runs straight down the back side of this, which is going to be almost perfectly in line right here in the center of this tower. So yeah, somewhere right up in here. So there we go. I've got the cable sort of running through the back, which is coming down here. And I figured this was going to be a little bit cheaper on me power wise to just run the cables. And you can't even see that I'm technically running these up here through the top. But this is a pretty nice way of actually seeing the channels, how these only use one channel. So you see there are two here. This only the pattern providers use channels, which are 8 of them right here, 8, which means 16. And so if we do 16 plus the 2 of our units here, we should see 18 channels being used. And we actually see that right here by looking up at the top of the screen. It says 18 out of 32 channels on this cable chain. So now with these pattern providers up and running, I do want to get them upgraded and get all of these running at max speed. And so I have crafted the acceleration cards. 320 is going to be needed for the amount that I have here. Now, something that really helps with this whole setup and putting these cards in is actually making a network tool. Now, the network tool is something that is easily looked over, but I promise you, this is probably one of the most useful things that you're going to have when playing with Applied Energistics. Just having it in your inventory is going to change something. So currently, we're looking here, we just put it in our inventory, and we see this is actually what a normal terminal looks like. But now, after I go back into the terminal, after having the network tool, we gain this little section over here, which is the network tool belt. And inside of here, whenever we craft or pull these upgrades out, it should automatically restock our tool belt instead of going into our main system. But another cool thing is now when you're inside of something like this, you can just hit shift and it's going and click and it's going to automatically apply these upgrades. But there's another really useful tool in Applied Energistics, and that is called the network tool, or sorry, not network tool, the memory card. So the memory card is another very powerful tool, allowing you to copy settings from one Applied Energistics machine to the other. And this also includes its upgrades. So if I have this completely filled to the brim here with acceleration cards, I can shift right click to copy the settings. And now this is empty, but if I right click the memory card onto here, it's actually going to pull the upgrades out of my network tool and automatically update that for me. And so I can go through here on all of these and just simply upgrade by just clicking on here with that tool. You can see all of our upgrades just go in. Makes it so much easier than just accessing the GUI over and over again. And we're definitely going to want these upgraded. This is going to make our auto crafts just go so much faster. So now with all of these upgraded, let's actually talk a little bit about this. So I get a lot of questions about why do I put my patterns in from top to bottom? Well, when I'm setting up stuff like this, where I have these pattern providers and molecular assemblers, the pattern providers go from left to right. And similar, inside the molecular assembly here, this top row is just one of these pattern providers. And I want to avoid putting my patterns all inside of the same pattern provider, specifically patterns that are all similar crafts or require the same crafts. And so to try to avoid this and to make it a little bit more optimal, you put it from top to bottom. So that way it may put in this one, and then it's going to try putting one in here, one in here, and one in here. And you're sort of dividing out all of your similar crafts. That way they're all not going to be trying to craft inside of one molecular assembler. Because if this is all put into one, it's just going to have to wait until the crafts are done, and then it'll allow it to go in. So you kind of have to pick and choose, but this is really only early on. When you get into later Applied Energistics with these add-on mods, this is a non-issue. But you know, for those who were curious while I'm loading from top to bottom like this. All right, so now we get to have a little bit more fun. All right, I actually want to automate the world engine. That is one of my major goals today. And so let's actually get another singularity tossed out here. And we are going to light this on fire, throwing out an ender pearl and a singularity. We'll set the TNT on fire. Yeah, get out of the way too. Blowing those up. Perfect. And now we have ourselves a quantum entangled singularity. Beautiful. And now we're already using a quantum ring up here. This is the one that is inside of our terminal, allowing us to access it cross-dimensionally and unlimited range. But we do need another one. So I'm going to build one that is going to work for the one that the world engine is connected to. And so I'm thinking right about here, probably a good spot for it. I could attach it right up to the wall though. And something I didn't even know, yeah, if these are connected like this, it actually stops the other one from working. So I can't place it next to it. So you know what, I decided to place another one over here that is just linked right on in. We don't need a whole lot of channels, just simply enough to provide one channel for a pattern provider. And so we'll place in our quantum entangled singularity that is inside of this. This is all powered and everything. And we are going to need a pattern provider actually. So a regular pattern provider for right now, but we could technically make our first extended pattern provider. This I think is going to be a much better option, especially since we're going to have a lot of crafts potentially put into the world engine. Now this does cost a concurrent processor, and that is made super easy by just making another pattern over here. And so I have my concurrents that are now able to be auto-crafted inside of the beautiful circuit fabricator. And so just to make sure all of this works, okay, it looks like we are going to need some intro. I do have a little bit here. I can't wait to have this fully automated, then I don't have to worry about the intro production anymore. But perfect. Okay, extended. And it takes just a second. I think it's mostly waiting for those. Yeah, it happens so fast, everything jumping around. There's an extended pattern provider. This is probably going to be good for the most part. Now back into the world engine. Okay, so right here is our quantum link chamber. And so we should be able to place this now inside and look at that. Okay, this is now up and running. And I think an easy way to tap this in is to probably go from underneath and to pull this section right here in hopes that nothing else actually fills this space. I guess we'll find out in the future. Let's take our cables though. I'm going to route this to like right underneath. So we have this cable line that is running up here, and I want the pattern provider to actually go into the back. I think that's going to be perfectly fine. Okay, so now for the fun part, actually figuring out how to set the autocrafts. Now, I recommend on this putting it in blocking mode. I think that is going to be the easiest way to handle most patterns going into this, much like all of our other machines. But inside of the world engine, we are going to have to change a few things. And thankfully, for the most part, everything is configured. If I click this, this is all set to input and only input. That's exactly what we want. Everything else is all set to input. Perfect. But the output, the only thing we really need to click is to auto output. And then I'm actually going to disable every section except for the back of this. And I'm going to set that to output. And so with all of that set, whenever something crafts, it should just go right into the pattern provider, sending it right back into our AE system. But now let's say we are going to craft something for this, a pattern. And I want to show you this because it can get kind of confusing. Let's say, for example, I make the storage bus, and this is the pattern that I want. It's going to create these items and it's going to make the storage bus. That's all fine and dandy. All we have to do is place it into the provider. But let's just say that I actually want to use my pattern terminal to be able to put it in here. Notice there's nothing in here that says world engine or anything like that, right? And that's because it's actually labeled dummy. And any of the machines, for example, that are custom machinery are going to show up in this terminal as dummy. But there is a way we can actually fix this. And that is by using something like an anvil, or we can even use this labeling tool to take this thing and rename it to, for example, the world engine. And so if you're going to use like the labeling tools from Gadgets Against Grind, you just throw the item in, and this allows you to actually rename items for free, which is very, very nice. And so it's just going to take what's called a pattern provider and set it to the world engine name. And whenever I place this back down, it's still connected to everything. It's still it looks like a normal pattern provider, but it now has a name. This is the way you can name different things from AE2. So now when we open this up, world engine is now in here. It's going to be at the bottom because it's alphabetized, but there you go. World engine, it no longer says dummy. And we also need to do this for like the circuit assembler too, because as of right now, this one is labeled dummy for the circuit assembler. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I thought it'd be pretty cool, especially for those of you who may be getting confused trying to figure out where things are at. it just makes it a whole lot easier so we don't have to pop down into this world engine area over and over again like we've been doing. We can just make the pattern, and for most things, we can just simply craft it. Now, also to reset a name, you can put it in here, turn it back into a pattern provider, and pull it back out, and that will actually just wipe names off of stuff. But I do want to upgrade our circuit slicer, by the way, to an extended AE one as well. That way we have a little bit more slots, because there are more of these circuits that we are going to need to slice down the road. We've actually already maxed one out entirely, but now we have a world engine craft, for example, the ME storage bus. Let's just go ahead and request one and make sure that it does work. The hope is that it does ultimately craft this, and we should see one pop up in our system, depending on how long this craft actually takes. I actually didn't look. This requires not too much power, actually. It is kind of interesting that it hasn't finished already, because this should be a very quick thing. So let's go back down in here and let's check. Ah, interesting. Did it not save our output? Auto output. There we go. That is set. Is it per slot? No, it's for the whole thing. Okay. Maybe oh no, it is per slot. Oh, interesting. Okay. Auto output. We want to make sure that every single slot is set to auto output. So just make sure that you have this fully set. But there you go. As you've seen there, it definitely does work. It's probably gonna have to go through the processor, but look at that. Now we have a second one. So now the world engine is just another machine that we're going to have to send products to. It's also something that we have to upgrade still, because we can't craft a lot of things without it. But now we can automate things with it. Oh, this is where things get cool. So now I went through and I made a list of things that I sort of can craft as of right now, and patterns that I can actually make for this machine. And this right here is a pretty large list if we actually get rid of these things right here. But yeah, this right here is just about all of the things that we can make. And while I was looking at this list, there's actually some really cool things. An advanced coke oven. This is pretty interesting. This is like a better version through custom machinery. Yeah, this is more efficient and faster alternative to a basic coke oven. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I was just looking at many of these other things. I kind of like that. And yeah, it's definitely gonna be worth getting into. It looks like modular routers. We can even make super factory manager stuff now. And a repair talisman could even be made at this point. But in my opinion, the most boring part is just simply building the patterns for all of this. Now, also when making little patterns like this is a stone cutting recipe, and you don't have to have a stone cutter or anything. It literally just goes inside of your normal patterns, just like anything being crafted in a crafting table. And same for the smithing table craft recipes. Those just go into your normal pattern provider. And look at that. We can just make wire directly from that method. Now, I am going to tell you a little bit of a secret. If you do want to make things like plates, for example, like this copper plate right here, it is a bit more expensive, and I want to make better ways of doing this in the future, but this is probably one of the fastest ways to do it. You can use the engineer's hammer. It is more expensive to do this craft. Like I said, I think the osmium compressor might be one of the faster ways down the road, but this is the fastest as of right now, but most expensive method. If we hit substitute enabled, it actually allows the engineer's hammer to use this, use its durability, and then it will then craft another one. So yes, it is more expensive, but I think it is definitely worth it. And I've also, by the way, added an alloy smelter here, so that way I can automate my alloys. And to be able to do this, I have this just set to input, push and pull from the top. And it just takes the ingredients and just sends them right back. So at this point, I've got just about all of them crafted up. I mean, this has been interesting. I only have 3 slots left on this singular pattern provider from Extended. But now we're getting into some more advanced things. All of these, for the most part, just require regular items. They don't require any fluids or anything special like that. But if we want to send fluids, it's actually a pretty easy process with Applied. For example, if I want to make anything that uses this ender, well, that's really as simple as making sure this drawer is linked to our drawer network, which is then connected to our Applied Energistics system. And so long as we can read like this water, for example, or this ender, molten ender, for example, in our AE system, then we can use it for our autocrafts. And it can actually auto-inject it into machines that require liquids in their recipes. So for example, this Fortron infused ingot, if I want to make more of them, I'm going to need 4 buckets of Fortron and 8 iron, and we'll also need platinum. And this is quite useful. It's used for a lot of really cool things down the line. For example, extractors and many other things. But how do we actually get this inside of our machine? Well, we could just use a regular, like, we could just use the machine that actually generates the Fortron here, which is the coercion driver. And we can make a fluid drawer or pipe into it or what have you. And we just want to put a puller upgrade on here. We're just going to use this to automatically pull the fluid in. And so I want to place this down. Make sure we give this power with like a gate or something, just so that way it does start to generate this. Make sure we toggle this on. Fortron's then going to begin to be built up. And I'm going to put an upgrade in here. Set this to pull from the down. And that's going to start to pull Fortron in here. And actually, if I remove this, we'll be able to see the Fortron building up much, much easier. But yeah, so long as I take this and I lock it down, we use this to lock the drawer, and then we add that to the drawer network, we should now see Fortron building up in our applied Energistics system. And now we just need to craft with it. Now I find using the drawer system to be super elegant within applied Energistics, and it makes this so much easier to handle. That's why I've got all of my drawers now set up over here. They are all linked in and they are slowly working. We're gonna have to upgrade our seed system to be able to make sure that more of this gets produced for everything. But these are all linked in, and like I said, the drawer solution is so nice, because anytime we add anything, we can just add it directly to our AE system by just simply linking it to the one that's at our base. So nice. All of this is just being handled from one ME storage bus. Beautiful. Now to actually make this pattern, all we need to do is now encode it. And look at that, the Fortron right there. There's all the ingredients, and we just simply apply it. And it should automatically send the exact amount of fluid needed for the craft. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, it wouldn't actually send it all if you didn't have the ingredients, but yes, it'll take all of that, and we need to put it into the world engine down here, just like so. And now I do have platinum from the platinum chicken. I can now request some of this, and it is just going to throw it in. And look at that, we've already got it back. It was that fast utilizing this Fortron. Great. Any liquids that we need to put into this, we can do just like you've seen here. AE2 is just absolutely the GOAT of just auto crafting mods, I tell you what. So now I know it took a few episodes to get this all up and running, but I guarantee this is going to be one of the nicest quality of lives we've done thus far, making sure you have your applied Energistics system set up and you have all of your auto crafting situated and you have some sort of external sort of fluid handling and item handling. That way you can make sure you have overflow protection and you don't have to necessarily use cards. I mean, just look at this. I haven't even added more than one ME drive. I just don't even think it's necessary usually. And so this means within the next few episodes, boy, we're going to be diving into some really cool automation mods. And I hope you guys are excited for how I'm going to go about automating all of those individual things. There's so many things to look forward to in the quest. For example, getting some of these basic things like we need the Fluxite power. All of this can be done in just one episode. A lot of this stuff is surprisingly easy, but we don't have to stop there, right? We need to work on power and expanding. I want to dive deeper into Auratech. There's all kinds of cool stuff that we're going to need to do, and I look forward to experimenting a little bit in this pack too, especially with Auratech. And that's probably going to be our next major power source, which I'm also kind of excited to get into. So now, if that's something you're excited for, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and well, give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. And with that being said, it's now time for me to thank the amazing supporter that made this video possible. And that amazing thanks, well, that thanks is going to go out to Point. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord, becoming a Discord premium member, and just supporting my content. Honestly, in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss, going above and beyond, getting access to the world downloads, supporter servers, and all kinds of other fun perks. So be sure to check the Discord out, link down in the description below. And also don't forget, if you're looking for a Minecraft server, you can also find that listed down below. Be sure to check out the Ackla's link too. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.